Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Paper Prototypes podcast. Here I have the dev Luis and his game Corpus Edax. Luis, why don't you tell us a little bit about your game before we get started?
Sure thing. Hi, I'm Luis, and I've been working on Corpus Edax for the past 3 months. I recently joined the jam for HPS1, which is like a month-long jam for PS1 style graphics, and I just had an idea to make Corpus Edax, which is a first-person immersive sim RPG.
So, one of the things that stood out to me was probably the art style. Now, did you go into this jam learning how to do PS1 graphics, or did you pick this jam for the PS1 graphics?
So it was both, because I picked because of the PS1 graphics, but also because I didn't know how to make them. So it is, so it's like a challenge. Like, I want to do this. I like the aesthetics of PS1 graphics. And yeah, this was my first jam as well, so I really wanted to try something.
Oh, that's a really cool project for your first jam.
I think it was a little bit dumb, to be honest.
Oh, dude, the first jam I entered, I didn't actually save my game as an executable. I just uploaded the source file so no one could play it.
They had to build it themselves.
Oh, I didn't even get reviewed. It was so bad. But did you get any rankings, or what was the feedback when you ended up completing the jam?
No, there were no rankings, no prizes, no rankings. It's just like make a game, and that's it. It's in the jam.
Oh, okay.
Which honestly I really like, because I like for a first project, for a first jam, I didn't really want to be ranked and like be demoralized or whatever.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What made you decide to enter a jam?
I was really curious about making a game like super focused based around the theme, which, by the way, I like completely ignored anyway. But I really wanted to try like do a game all by myself, basically, and the jam was like a perfect excuse for it.
So, did you have a background in programming or art design before you did the jam, or did you just know nothing about computers and jumped in?
Yeah, so I made the game. So I started my game dev for real, in last year. But I've been like dipping in and out since 2015 with GameMaker and stuff like that. So
did you use GameMaker to make Corpus Edax?
No, not at all. But in 2015, I started like trying to learn game dev with GameMaker. But then last year, I learned Unity, and I've been since June last year. I've just stuck with Unity.
See,
because it's pretty easy for me.
When I played this game, even just from looking at the screenshots, I was like, "This is a Unity game." But when at first I thought you were gonna say GameMaker, I was like, that'd be kind of crazy if you got away doing 3D in that engine.
Yeah.
So how did you come up with essentially either? Let's start with the plot. How did you come up with the plot for? No, wait, I got a better question. What made you decide to do an immersive sim?
You know, I'm not really sure. I really love immersive sims, and I recently saw a video about like the renaissance of immersive sim indies. Basically, like only indie developers are doing immersive sims nowadays. And I just thought, yeah, I'd like to try my hand at making one. So I kind of did.
You have got to send me that video, because the only immersive sim I think I've played that I've really enjoyed was New Vegas, and my god, do I want to play some more.
Yeah, I feel like New Vegas, dude. That was 2010.
I think it might even. Oh no, wait. Maybe it's older. I don't know. It's been a fucking while. I played that game when I was in high school, and it was old for me then.
Yeah.
So how did you end up coming up with the lore for your game? Because if I remember correctly, the game starts where the Industrial Revolution happened way earlier in that game's timeline than it did in ours.
Yeah, the plot was a bit just on the spot. I didn't really think this through because if you really think about it, it doesn't really make sense because if you delve into knowing about the Dark Ages, it's a lot more complicated than just coming up with Dark Ages earlier. but yeah, it was just like made on the spot. I was looking for a way on how to make the civilization advance technologically faster than like real life. So an alternate reality where we technologically advanced faster.
Any reason
sooner.
you decided to choose that?
Just so the planet could be set in the planets. I'm sorry, the game could be set in another planet. So like start fresh.
Okay, that makes sense. And how did you end up deciding what was going to be the plot of your game?
It was also made on the spot because this being a jam game, I only had 1 month to do it. But I was starting to think about how do you say restrictions based around grading the civilians, the citizens, and I thought about what if your character is someone that recently got upgraded and got a job, like the privilege of having a job in this world, and so you basically start your day being like a fish out of water.
I picked that up, I think at the midpoint of the game. It's a very short game. It feels like what is essentially like a vertical slice of a game.
Yeah, that was also one of my big mistakes because I focused on making the demo game, or whatever you want to call it, replayable, not so much as a long experience.
I definitely.
So
Oh, sorry. Continue.
I definitely had like some ideas to make the game replayable, but everything I created was super linear if you don't explore. So it's very easy to play through the game in like 10 minutes.
I will say I had a very different experience from when I put all of my points into melee versus the other runs, because I just ended up like two-shotting everyone when I did that.
Yeah, I had a hard time balancing, but I didn't really had time to really delve into it.
I don't know. Are you familiar with a game called Mountain Blade?
Yeah. I was super addicted to it like 5 years ago.
That's all I could think of. I was like, damn, it's like when you max out your javelin skills and you end up just one-shotting motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Super
fun.
I saw you also were trying to implement, I guess, I don't know how to describe this, to have physics be a gameplay element, especially in the first level, where when you start, there are clearly two windows and two people overlooking them.
Yeah, I really wanted to have some more physics in the game, just because it's fun. I don't know if this happened to you, but when you like, how old are you, by the way?
I'm 22.
22. Okay, so I'm 26, and basically when we were kids, I don't know if you remember when the game started having ragdoll physics.
Yes, I remember playing MX versus ATV on my PS2.
For example, yeah. And yeah, I was just super fascinated about it, and since then I just really want all the games to have more physics on them. Because it's fun.
Would you say that, let me ask, what games inspired you when it comes to Corpus Edax? Because when I guess I should explain how I found your game. I was essentially just browsing on on itch, and I saw the game, and I went, oh, I need to download that. I forgot to save the name. So I literally spent, I think, half an hour about a couple weeks later when I was thinking of games to put on the podcast, like, what was that fucking game? Because that's how, like, captured I was with the art style. So what inspired you with a lot of your choices? Because a lot of the cops have these, like, faceless masks on them that I think are quite intimidating. There's this horrible PS1 haze over everything, and it's really cyberpunkish when it comes to that. I really felt oppressive when it came to your game.
That's cool, but I was mostly inspired by Deus Ex and Fallout. And Actually, someone in the comments, I think it was on Twitter or something, they told me the game really looks like Total Recall and Red Faction, and I didn't think about that, but probably my subconscious did, because after they said that, I can totally see the resemblance between those two.
I imagine it's hard to design games, design anything in a genre without trying to think about the progenitors of said genre.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Like, if you're trying to make a 2D platformer, it's hard not to evoke Mario at some point in your game.
Yeah, for example, yeah. Even if you don't think about it directly, it's always going to be there, like in the back of your mind.
Would you consider that a benefit or a hazard when it came to developing your game?
No, that's a good thing to ask, but I'm not really sure. I would have to think about that. I'm not sure if it's because if you try to do something based on other genres, on other IPs, maybe some people would find that upsetting, like, oh, look at this dude, he's trying too much to be this thing. And maybe some other people like it. Maybe you want to be original, but your idea is not really original because you've been thinking about that game the whole time. I don't know. It's a it's a deep question.
I'm trying to think of what essentially did you want to capture? Because trying to make an immersive sim within 1 month sounds like a challenge. It's not exactly a genre I would have picked if I were to enter a game jam.
Not at all. I was really dumb. Also because the game is short, like you said. But one thing that I realized while making an immersive sim, or at least like a light immersive sim, as I like to call it, is that you're designing content that's going to be viewed by like 20% of the people that play the game. And the rest of the 80% won't ever see that. And you have to accept that. That's really hard.
I think I was listening to a podcast and one of the members was saying that, oh, I don't watch the cutscenes, I just skip all that shit. And I just thought, like, I couldn't imagine being a dev and writing something and someone not finding that, you know?
Yeah.
Is there anything in your game that you think players might not see, but you're really hoping that they would?
Yeah. So, for example, if someone listens to the podcast and decides to try the game, I put something when you're going through checkpoints where they're trying to see your citizen clearance. If you attack the glass, the guards on the other side of the glass will get mad at you. If you keep attacking it, everyone will be upset at you and try to kill you. And I don't think anyone found that out.
I tested that. I was like, what's the AI gonna do if I just punch the glass? And one of them got mad with me, and I was like, fuck you! And I just punched the glass again. Yeah, and he ran out the door, and I went, oh, okay, I see how
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad you found that.
My other favorite detail, hands down, has to be the first guard you run into in the hallway. If you talk to him, he's like, dude, shut the fuck up. And I just kept annoying him, and he told me to go away. And one of the options was, oh, I'll leave, or, hey, we got off on the wrong foot. My name's whatever. Would you like to keep talking? And he just goes, fuck you, and just starts attacking you.
Yeah. So there's like, I think there's 3 choices based on that guard. Like, 4 if you wanna be generous. Like, you can attack him straight up. You can talk to him and convince him to open the door for you. You can talk to him and he gets mad at you, or you can talk to him and you like tease him, and he gets frustrated and calls for backup. So now you have to fight 3 guards.
I didn't actually see that option, funnily enough, where it calls for backup.
Yeah, it's if you have a strength check.
What is behind the door? Because I think I killed him because I saw glass and I had to do the ragdoll physics, so I think I killed him every single time. Is there anything in particular behind the door?
So behind the door is just a little piece of lore. Basically, that's it. Not really important to the grand scheme of things.
Sorry.
If uh, did you find the vents in the cafeteria?
I'm not sure. I did actually. I think I just walked through the cafeteria. I tried doing the glass thing again, and no one got mad at me.
Okay. Yeah, from the videos I've been seeing of people playing the game, I don't think like many, if any, found out that there's a vent in the cafeteria that you can grab some barrels and go through it, and there's going to be on the other side a dead body. That dead body was the person that used to live on the house that's locked.
Oh.
So like,
Okay.
yeah, it's just it's a piece of the lore that's connected to that dead body, and that's it.
What was the type of content that you know what? I have a better question. What made you decide to choose to do an immersive sim?
I really want to do a Deus Ex, like one of the newer ones, like Deus Ex Human Revolution, with the style, humor, and conversations of Fallout. And there really hasn't been like something like that, and I just want to try and do something that could be close to an immersive sim Deus Ex, based on Fallout stuff, on Fallout systems, mixed with physics.
How well do you think you achieved that goal?
I would say not that much, but close enough for the time I was given.
Of 1 month.
Yeah.
Going forward, do you think you would try to, I guess, choose a project as big as this one in a jam?
You know, I think I would, but just because, and probably focus less on side content and just make the main experience with more stuff to do. Less focus on replayability, because once people go through the demo, they don't really replay it.
That is fair. I will say I replayed the game mostly so I would have a lot of stuff to talk to. Mostly because I thought it would have been really weird if I came and did a single playthrough of an immersive sim and went, that's it, I've seen all the content I needed.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to work on this game further, or are there other projects you're planning on working on?
Oh yeah, like I have a full-time job, so all my free time I've been designing and working on this game. So because the feedback I got on my itch page was really nice, and on Twitter as well, like people really enjoyed it, and because of that, I decided to keep working on it. So now I'm expanding on it.
How... There's something I noticed at the very beginning was there's 7 skills, but only, I believe, 2 of them are implemented.
Yeah, around that, yeah.
What are your plans for implementing those other skills?
So I'm already thinking about those skills, and I've already redesigned some of them because I didn't really know how hard they would be to implement in the jam. Turns out it's really hard, as in anything game dev. But I've been looking at the skills and redesigning them to be more fun and more impactful, I'd say.
Is it a challenge? Because a great thing about open world games generally, or I mean, I do a lot of D&D where I'm usually the DM. Are you familiar with Dungeons and Dragons?
I am. I actually haven't played the full game, the full D&D campaign, but I'm really curious about it.
It's really annoying where your players, you want to give them the exploration, but you also need to railroad them onto the main plot, right?
Yeah.
Would you say you ran into any roadblocks in that design where you wanted to give players freedom, but you also really needed to force them in a specific direction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was one of the main problems I had. I didn't really have time to design proper tutorials or proper level design. And on the second level, I really wanted people to jump the fence on the left side, but from the videos I've seen, most of them just go through the main entrance and fight everybody.
I also didn't know that was an option. I thought the dialogue was funny enough that I was like, oh, I gotta fuck with the guard at the front.
Yeah, so there's two ways to go in. But yeah, that was my fault because nobody noticed you can go to the left side, through the left side.
Something else I noticed was when you first get caught by the gang that tries to force you into joining this revolution, I refused to join them until they beat me to death. So I was like, "Is this really all that's gonna happen?" I died. I was like, "Okay, I'm glad I got I'm glad they let me die." But okay, that was weird.
Yeah. I wanted to make them dump. Like, they're trying to talk to you, but you don't shut up, so they just kill you.
What, aside from, I would say, open-endedness, what other problems did you have when it comes to coming up with levels?
Damn, that's a good question. Like, a lot of problems. For example, how open should they be? Where do I separate levels so I can load in assets, so it doesn't like bog down memory and stuff like that? How do I light the levels? That's a lot. It's a lot of things to think about. And how do I guide the players like without being obvious? And how do I give player expression around levels? And how to like hide side content like that, vents and stuff like that. It's a lot of stuff that goes into level design, into the levels. Yeah, and it can be problematic. Yeah.
I imagine there's a very fine line between you want to make a puzzle that's not too easy, but also players are very, very dumb, and you gotta just make that shit obvious.
Yeah. I wouldn't call them dumb, but they're mostly misguided by the level designer, I'd say.
Would you say the neon that's everywhere on the map, would you say that was that both a design decision and also an aesthetic decision?
It was both, yeah, because it's a design decision to have colored lettering, so that red means closed, and yellow means it's locked but can be opened, and green means it's opened. The letters on the doors. So, and also because it looks cool. So, yeah, it's both design and aesthetics.
I believe I reached an area where there's just a bunch of red doors, and I quickly realized, oh, the yellow means I could possibly get in here. Okay, I don't have to worry about this.
Yeah.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, pretty much.
If there's, especially in early 3D games, like I remember being in middle school and seeing kids with like PSPs, there are certain games where the zones that you couldn't explore were just invisible walls. What an awful era that was for gaming.
True, yeah. I've been trying to design this game with my brother, and I think he's the #1 hater of invisible walls. So I'm glad to say that Corpus Edax probably won't have invisible walls if I can design the levels properly.
So, how diegetic would you say a lot of your design philosophy is? Because I noticed diegetic being like elements that tell you things but are also baked into the world. So a lot of the doors, like the neon, serves the aesthetic purpose, but it also is telling you gameplay wise. Would you say that was a driving design principle, that you wanted to keep a lot of in-game stuff in the world itself?
Yeah, I do, because I also wanted to try and make the menu diegetic, but I ran out of time. Like, do you know, like in Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, when you pull up the Pip-Boy, and it's actually like in your arm, and your character actually looks at the Pip-Boy.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite details.
Like that. Yeah, I wanted to do more stuff like that and less diegetic, less non-diegetic stuff. So more of it.
How did you end up picking what skills you wanted to use? Because throwing and melee seems like a pretty easy choice. But how did you end up deciding that you wanted to go with lockpicking, at least going forward, and some of the other skills that I saw were there?
It's mostly looking at Fallout and how they did skills. and also how Deus Ex and other RPGs did their skills. Because some people like minigames, others don't. I personally like minigames because I find it's a fun distraction from the main game. And it was mostly on what would be fun to have, what would be like a fun thing for the player to choose. So I chose strength, throwing, so it can be leveled up, lockpicking, bartering, and stealth and stuff like that. Like it's all cool stuff to level up, I'd say. So it's mostly on that. If it's fun or if it's cool for the player to level up.
How worried are you going forward about length? Because I would say I beat the game in 15 minutes, perhaps, and then on subsequent playthroughs, 2 minutes each, where it was mostly me just testing elements. How worried are you going forward trying to implement 5 different skills with a plot line in different areas, all with an immersive sim going forward?
We've been designing that. We're still not sure if we want the world to be hub based or open world or wherever. But talking about length, I'm not that worried if it's like long or short, because I know whatever it's going to be there, it's going to be fun. It's going to be super enjoyable. And if people want more of it, maybe they can replay with like a different skill sets, like a different build. And I think a lot of the length of the game will be from replayability.
So using the various skills would encourage more playthroughs, which would also add to the length.
Yeah, it will be like, I want the playthroughs to be different. I want players to experience stuff that other players didn't.
Now, do you think a shorter game would encourage that?
Honestly, I do, because I really like shorter games. Nowadays, at least, since I don't know, I've been a bit fatigued of long games, of those 20 hours, 40 hours video games. But I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this is going to be a 4-hour game. Probably an 8-hour. I don't know. I still don't know. But yeah, I like shorter games. Shorter games meaning 4 or 5 hours.
I'm guessing trying to work a full-time job and being a dev implements the type of length of a game that you're looking for.
I'd say so, yeah, because you only have a finite amount of time, like each day.
That has been the worst thing to learn as transitioning as an adult.
True, yeah, I agree. I do agree.
Do you find the work-life balance between being a dev and the full-time job has been difficult, or do you think you're managing it?
I can manage it. I've been doing this for a year and a half now. I mean, it's tough because I like creating things, and right now, like, my hobby is making games, and I really, really like it. So I get a bit obsessed about it. So, like, I don't get a lot of hours of sleep each night, but that's on me. Like, that's entirely on me, because I want to keep working on it and stuff like that. But it's hard, and I gotta get better at it, at managing time.
What tools are you using to be able to help you, such as maybe tutorials or maybe outside code that you could implement that would help? What's been some big, either guiding tools or just stuff to shave off the work hours?
Mostly, I know some people hate it, but Unity Asset Store like really helps. I tried to, for this gem, I made all the models myself, like 90% of it, but I mostly try to avoid popular assets or popular models to use. I like to go and buy assets that help me with mechanics and systems and stuff like that, because that really saves a lot of time.
I wish I knew the... Oh, sorry, continue.
I was just going to say that, yeah, like the Unity Asset Store, GitHub, and tutorials like really help on YouTube.
Any particular tutorials you like?
Well, I actually don't write C#. I use Playmaker, which is a visual scripting language. And mostly just tutorials about Playmaker on their channel and stuff like that. And I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, never even heard of it.
So Playmaker is basically visual scripting language like Unreal Engine Blueprints or Unity's Bolt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just like C# snippets of codes. Like you have these scripts. You know in Unity like how a C# script can be a component on an object.
Yes.
So Playmaker is kind of that. You have C# scripts that are an action, and then you just combine those actions via links, and that's how the logic works. It's really easy for me to visualize code.
And then you can import it into Unity?
Yeah, so Playmaker is a Unity tool.
Huh.
So it's in the editor.
That's actually really interesting. That's gonna make. I'm thinking about transitioning to Unity myself, just because I want to work in a 3D space. Because I also am currently using GameMaker. But
yeah,
God, I did C++ in college, and God, that's a fucking gross language at times.
I bet. Yeah, it's not easy.
What are you currently doing full time right now?
Doing full time as in what's my job?
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on back office for a major sports company, and I mostly deal with logistics, shipments, payments, problems, etc. Like, uninteresting stuff.
What made you choose to do game development? Was it just a love of games, considering I guess it wasn't a love of code?
Yeah, no, I hate I hate code. I have an inability to learn code. I've been getting there, slowly getting there, but yeah, it's a long journey. So my love really, like, what makes me want to do game dev is mostly my love for video games. I think they're like the ultimate art form.
How do you feel about writing? Because immersive sims tend to have a lot of writing.
They do, and I have to get better at writing. Like for the jam, I didn't really have time to iterate on my writing, so all the dialogue and all the stuff was the first thing that popped into my head, which can come off as a bit shitty. But yeah, for writing, like writing is super important in immersive sims, and they have to be. It's an iterative process. It needs to be edited, looked after, and rewritten.
Are you having any challenges when it comes to further development of Corpus Edax for any future characters or moments?
Sorry, come again? Future challenges?
Have you run into any challenges on your ongoing development of Corpus Edax when it comes to writing? Because I imagine there's going to be more characters, and character writing's always been something that some people have struggled with.
Yeah. I've been designing some factions and some worlds, like world locations, to segregate citizens, and for now it's been really hard. It's been a true challenge making them all come together for the main storyline. So I've been sort of postponing that because I'm not really sure where to go with it.
Do you want Corpus Edax going forward? Because I know you mentioned Deus Ex, but you mentioned the sillier side of New Vegas. Are you trying to straddle that line, or do you want to go in more than one direction?
Yeah, I've been definitely straddling around that line, like dancing around it, because I want to focus on serious issues with dark humor and all that stuff. Basically like Fallout, like deal with the topics that Deus Ex talks about, like segregation and discrimination, and like conspiracy theories, abuse of power, and all that stuff, with the humor of Fallout and stuff like that. So yeah, I've been definitely trying to keep in the middle ground, not go too far into serious modes, not go too far into a joke game.
what have been the inspirations for, are you willing to talk about the factions? Because that's ongoing. I don't know if you want to keep that hidden from players since that's future development.
No, I can talk about it for sure.
What factions are you planning to add, and what are their inspirations?
Let me check. So I wrote in a document here. So we have 5 factions. So mostly it's just the government force, the cops, if you want to call them, the guards, and you have the citizens and the merchants, and then the resistance, which now has a different name. And you have another group of faction that is called the anarchists, which is this world is like very 1984 in the sense that it's run by the government.
Okay.
Like a bit authoritarian, and the anarchists are an experiment from the government to have a group of people rule themselves without governments. So they're separated from the main area of Corpus Edax. It's a bit hard to explain, I think. For now, at least. I'm still developing them, yeah.
I wrote a bunch of political factions for my D&D campaign, and I ended up I looked down and I realized half of my factions are just different forms of anarchism, and I'm like, I've got to cut half of this. This is garbage.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, you get too involved into it, and yeah.
I ended up having like syndicalists, anarchists. I ended up having I was like, that's the same thing. What am I? Well, I'm sure someone is gonna get mad in the comments about that, but they might as well be for the sake of gameplay. Have you had a struggle with what is the word I'm trying to think? Feature creep. I was about to say creature freep. Have you had a struggle with feature creep? I was about to do it again.
Yeah. During the jam I had it was supposed to be a simple sneaking game, but I had to throw in picking up objects.
Wait,
and then I had to throw in
sneaking?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be like, you know how immersive sims are mostly focused on stealth.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be a stealth game, like going around an area and doing, like, taking out targets with exploration around the level. But then I thought, like, it would be cool to grab objects and throw them at people. So I had to put that in, and then it worked out. And then I thought it would be cool to swing them at people, and then it just kept accumulating. Like, maybe it would be fun to fight and have like a melee combat system. And yeah, because at first I didn't really think about the combat. It was mostly just a punch from the back to knock them out like Thief. But yeah, it just started like accumulating more and more. It was a real problem.
Did you go into the game with did you make a game design document first and plan a lot of it, or did you just develop what you thought was fun as you went along the way?
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't plan any of this, so I just tried making a PS1 aesthetic, and then I started building upon the controller, the player controller, and after that, I just started thinking about what would be fun to do. What would be would it be fun to have enemies? Would I have combat, etc.? And just stuff like that.
Something I wanted to ask, was the elevator in between in level 1, is that supposed to hide a loading screen, or did you just want an elevator?
No, it's supposed to hide a loading screen, yeah.
I knew it. I was like, oh! I will say, I also kind of appreciate it because when you throw the guy out the airlock, as I descended down, all I could think was, damn, that guy must have fallen really fucking far.
Yeah. Speaking about the elevator, by the way, it's really hard thing to do.
The elevator?
It kind of sucks, yeah.
I have heard
Because
elevators as a moving platform with the object on top of it to move with the elevator is a fucking nightmare.
yeah, it is. I don't know, like if you get the chance to play it again, try and luring a guard over to the elevator, and the game will just break.
Really?
The guard, yeah, the guard will like clip through the elevator, and you'll never see him again.
Wait, but how come there's an NPC in you that can walk in the elevator, but the guards can't?
So because the NPC, I made it so that she's part of the elevator
Wait,
because she
what?
starts there.
There's no fucking way!
So in Unity, you have like you have the hierarchy of objects,
Okay.
and basically, I made the NPC a child of the elevator.
That's one of the... Okay, in New Vegas, you know how there's a train?
I do. I've seen that picture. Yeah.
Oh, where it's just a guy with a train head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. That might be one of the funny... You made her part of the elevator. Oh, I love that kind of shit, because I'm currently in IT, and I do a lot of programming. And so, like, I'll see just, like, weird bits where... Because the model for Mr. House, when you actually meet who Mr. House is, spoiler for New Vegas, a potentially 10-year-old or older game.
True.
Because he's not a human model, he like the archetype that they have him listed under is Abomination, which I think is the funniest shit in the world.
Well,
Oh man, I'm sorry, I just can't get over he's part of the fucking elevator.
yeah. Try it out if you want.
Oh man. So, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to think of more questions that fucking broke me. So.
Oh, by the way, sorry, but speaking about the elevator and about why the guards break, that has been the problem because immersive sims are systematic games. Systemic games, I mean. So having that NPC being part of the elevator goes against being an immersive sim because it's not really systemic. it's just scripted, and I need to come up with a better system for it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm trying to apply for jobs for game development. And a lot of the things I'm trying to show off is that I particularly love systemic design. I love the idea of mechanics all coming together and clashing and creating new things, and you can see it in multitudes of genres from New Vegas, but other examples of systemic elements in games that we don't really think about is stuff like Minecraft, or a big release now that in a lot of people's minds is Breath of the Wild. What draws you to specifically systemic designs and systemic gameplay?
It's mostly just like player expression, like being able to do the stuff he wants and having the game respond to that. It's just an amazing feeling.
Oh, sorry, continue.
I just like to call it, I don't know if it's like an actual word, but just like player expression is the best words I can think to describe it.
That's more or less why I love systemic design. There's just something so unique about just the random moments that happen and just watching a myriad clusterfuck emerge from different things colliding into one another.
Yeah.
Damn, I had a question and it just fucking slipped my... Now I remember. Do you think that is one of the reasons that you said video games are the ultimate art form?
I do, because it's interactive, right? You don't have another art form that's interactive. So having the player be part of it is like super important. And since games combine basically every art form in existence, like arts, music, visuals, paintings, whatever, drawings, it's like it's everything into one piece of art. And having the player like control it, then that's just like the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, it's always satisfying to watch someone play your game because it's just the way the art, because the player is the one that's driving it. It's a unique experience for every person who interprets it, far more than something like a book. You can interpret the
Yeah,
meaning of a book, but you can't interpret how a book plays out. Let's just skip pages, but that's a dog shit solution.
yeah.
Um, so what are you thinking when it comes to, um, I want to say, how long do you think it'll take you to continue Corpus Edax, or is this just one of those dream projects that you're going to work on until you burn out?
I don't know. Like making this jam game took me a month, and I think I made like really good progress for just that amount of time. But I'm thinking I would be working on Corpus Edax for like the next year and a half or 2 years. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but also want to give it the time it deserves. So it's hard to balance, but I would like to give it around a year and a half, 2 years.
And what influence? I know we talked about obviously the influence for the aesthetics was stuff like Deus Ex and New Vegas, but what influenced particular things like neon lights? Or another example would be, why did you pick the haze in the game to be like an overwhelming element in the game?
I think it just wanted to be more atmospheric. Like the regular person would, when someone thinks about something being atmospheric, I think their brains go straight to foggy, like a foggy scene.
Mm.
If you go to Google Images, like if you type atmospheric night or atmospheric scene, it's just mostly fog. And I also want it to be a bit dirty in a sense, because every structure in Corpus Edax is rusted or ugly in some way, even if the low textures don't give it away. It mostly like it all joins together to give this a rustic feeling, with the pipes busted, like throwing more steam, and then like some fog on the floor and stuff like that. Basically, just make it atmospheric.
So when I played your game, some of the easiest themes I thought of were like the decay that comes from, let's say, like class struggle, or the decay that comes from just industrialization and endless expansion when it comes to society. And the PS1 graphics really sell that. Did you come up with that theme from the PS1 graphics, or did the PS1 graphics aid in that idea, or did you just happen to pick both of them and they work together?
I think the style of the game was influenced by the PS1 graphics. Because when I was prototyping the game, I really liked on the PS1 the dark fog and those small tight corridors that you sometimes see in the PS1 games. And I wanted to try and capture that feeling of not, I wouldn't say ugly, but probably the feeling of being unease in unease states because of the graphics, because you have to fill a lot of the gaps due to how the graphics were made. Like they're low res, everything is low res. Sometimes you have to imagine the rest of the image. And I think the PS1 graphics came first and then the style.
And would you say that the PS1 graphics are going to help aid in speeding up the development of your game?
Right now, I'm actually thinking about not going full PS1 graphics.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
Any
mostly just because I think it would be tiresome for the player to look at this style of graphics for an extended period of time, for like 4 or 5 hours or more. But
that's fair.
that may be totally untrue. I don't know, but I think that's how most people would feel, because there's been like a really oversaturation of the PS1 style graphics among indies, and retro graphics and stuff like that. And I kind of want to steer a bit away from fully blown PS1 graphics and mix in a bit more. How do you say? Fuck! I'm missing the word. Like modern rendering techniques. You know?
Oh, okay. It reminds me. I was playing a game called Cultic, and it's a Quake-like game. I played the demo, came out, and you know how like Doom, it's all like 1D almost, and then when you kill enemies, they kind of crumple in that weird model form. Well, when I shot one of the enemies, I noticed up close the gore was done voxel-based to give more depth to the gore. But then when they crumpled after they died, after I witnessed the eyeballs blow out, it switched back to like 1D. And it was so cool to realize how using a different art form, they were able to almost continue to sell the idea of what they wanted, which was the initial like Quake old school graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something
That's
you were
what I'm
thinking?
talking about, yeah.
Okay, not just an abandon of the PS1, but adding elements to enhance like what the PS1
exactly.
would... Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, when I think immersive sim, I guess it's something of a cliche, I suppose, but I tend to think of like big, open, expansive worlds, but that's also because I've been playing Breath of the Wild. But your game tends to be a lot of corridors. Do you think linear corridors are going to be a problem when it comes to developing your game? Or do you think that you have ways around that sort of cliche that players might have in mind?
Yeah, there's definitely ways around it. I don't know if you played, for example, Prey from Arcane.
No, I haven't. I've only seen I've seen a lot of footage from the remake, but not the original, or played both.
Right. Yeah. Basically, the whole game takes place in a giant space station, and it's mostly rooms, like big rooms and corridors. And I think it worked really well. But in my case, I made just these tight corridors because I was tight on time, and I didn't really have time to expand like the levels. But you'll be seeing some more corridors because I like maybe not these small corridors, but more vertical corridors where the player can grab a box and stack them up, and maybe go to a vent that's up high in the wall, for example.
Are you worried at all about players potentially getting lost when you go with a lot of corridors? Because I'm thinking back to like the Fallout vaults, and my god, I fucking hated that shit.
Yeah. I'm a bit worried about that, but that's another thing. Like, level design is about iteration, and we're also gonna like take inspiration from hospitals because they have those lines in the ground, to guide. Yeah, so we're looking at doing something like that to guide the player, because
that's really cool
otherwise,
as an idea, actually.
Yeah, otherwise the player would be lost. Like, have each area distinct and have some visual cue to guide the player to those areas.
How did you come up with that as an idea, or was that just something like randomly you thought of?
It's mostly, I don't know if it's from a GDC talk about level design, but I think they've mentioned something like that. But recently, due to my stomach issues, I had to go to the hospital 2 weeks ago, and I noticed how it was structured, how they designed it, and I took inspiration from that. Like, I remember it's like, dude, yeah, this is a good thing to have.
What
if it guides you?
You mentioned GDC talks, which are just absolutely wonderful resources. Have there been any other resources that you've been using to learn about level design?
Websites, articles from level designers, like blogs from Gamasutra. Well, actually, they're not called Gamasutra anymore. I think it's Game Dev. Or game developer or something like that. But yeah, those guys have a lot of articles about level design, and also reading postmortems really helps. The website Game Developer also has a lot of postmortems that people can read free of charge.
Have you, now that you're doing a lot of this research on level designs, is there anything in your current game that you would redesign now that you've maybe learned some new principles?
Absolutely, yeah. I would recreate the second level because I think it's awful. Like, I made that in 2 days. I didn't really have time to test it or iterate upon it, and I just don't think it's well designed at all.
I remember playing the second level, and the ending and beginning was great, and then I got to the big empty bit in the middle, and the first thing I thought was like, this is where the lack of time hit the hardest. I can feel it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's that noticeable.
It's just this big empty space, and I was like, oof, okay. How did you come up with the ending? Because I got to the ending, and all I could think was when I saw the bomb, I was like, this bitch, okay, I know what's happening. I'm fucked. And I did everything I could, and I'm like, okay, I see what he's going for.
Yeah. That's that's going to be like explained in the actual game, the full game.
Now,
I think that plotline will remain, so I don't want to spoil it.
Of course. The only thing I asked about it was, did you plan that with the game going in the future, or is that something you wrote because you wanted a great ending, and then now you're going to keep it because it's just great?
No, that I wrote it because I do like that plotline, and I do want to develop it further.
Have you... I was going to say, I can't imagine you're too worried about the marketing right now, considering you're still in very early stages, and this is just a very simple vertical slice.
Yeah, not at all. I occasionally post on Twitter, but yeah, that's about it.
Did you notice when your game hit the front page of itch?
Wait, it did?
Yeah, that's how I found it. I went to itch, and your game was just right there on the front page for a while.
Oh wow, I didn't notice it.
I used to think so. It was either that or maybe I hit randomize. I can't remember which of the two, because it was a while when I saw your game, and then I went back to it, and it took me forever to find it.
Oh wow, that's cool. Like, I've been having a steady number of downloads, and I didn't really know why.
Has there any
like people?
Oh, sorry. Continue.
People like have been downloading the game since September. Like, I've been having around 20 downloads per day.
Really?
And yeah, that's like a lot.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. But now it's mostly died down. But yeah, that really caught me by surprise.
Have you learned anything interesting from the feedback you've gotten?
Yeah, I've learned that I should put a tutorial.
I mean,
because
what issues did people have? At the very beginning, it tells you like everything you can do.
It only tells you if you click escape and reads, and people don't like to read.
You know, that is a fair point. I fucking hate reading.
Yeah, and I should have made a tutorial.
I have to say, that's a really weird feeling to get into an immersive sim that's heavy in reading and be like, I'm not reading a tutorial. Not happening.
Yeah. Mostly, like, from the videos I've seen, like, I like, quote unquote hid the how to play menu in the pause menu. So people start the game and they don't click the escape button, they just keep playing.
That explains why I found it so easy. I believe I did hit escape just to like, yeah, I went to go look at controls and I hit escape so I could know what to do.
Yeah. So you're the minority, I'd say.
That found the tutorial?
Yeah. God, I wish I had time to explain like how the game works.
I don't have a tutorial in one of my projects, and so I had a bunch of people complaining about things they wanted added. I'm like, no, it's there. I'm just dumb.
Yeah, you get that feeling a lot. I've been thinking about like making a dev playthrough of the game, just so people can see what they're missing out.
what is your, I guess, I guess a guiding principle when it comes to reading player feedback? Because sometimes it's not very good.
Yeah. I think you gotta know what you're making. Like, you gotta know your game, you know? And if their feedback aligns with your vision, then you take it to heart, you know? If they're saying, like, oh, this game should have guns. Well, I don't want guns in my game. This is gonna be like a melee-based game with grabbing objects, like physics-based and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna listen to that feedback. So you gotta know what you want.
Are you gonna have a lore reason for no guns?
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the first things I wrote when designing Corpus Edax.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's well, yeah, it'll be explained in the game. I don't want to get into it right now. It's a long story.
Are you gonna keep this level 1 as the same intro, or are you thinking about doing a different intro for the game if you're gonna do a full development?
No, definitely something different. I think this is going to be like its own thing. Like, this is going to be Corpus Edax for the HPS1 gem, and then I'm going to make the actual game.
Oh, so like a complete maybe not a complete rebuild, but a redesign at least when it comes to like level and structure.
Yeah, not a complete rebuild like you said, yeah, but a complete redesign. Because I do want to keep some assets, like the doors. I think they're cool. The corridors and the pipes and stuff like that, I think it's cool. But the rest, it's definitely going to be redesigned.
No, I'm telling you, I saw the guards and I saw the weird PS1 planet, and I was like, I want this. What I loved, something I loved was the haze, which is perfect because the PS1 games tend to have a lot of haze to be able to hide the fact that there's very low draw distance. But it sells the idea that this place is oppressive and disgusting. But also, you can't see the bottom, so when I threw that guy out the window, I was like, how long is he gonna fall?
Yeah. The fog really helps. And I also love the fog in the PS1 aesthetics. Like, as you said, it helps to sell that oppressive state.
Is there anything in particular that draws you to PS1 aesthetics?
The PS1 aesthetic?
Mm-hmm.
In particular, not really. It's just a combination of various things, like the fog, the fact that you have to fill in some gaps because of the low-res graphics. Also because it allows me, like, I'm learning modeling and stuff like that, so it allows me to do some lo-fi models with not a lot of detail on them. So that really helps. And because it's cheap to run on a computer, so I don't have to worry that much about optimization.
If I were to do 3D development, you pretty much described the exact reason I was gonna do PS1. It's just I didn't even think about the low optimization, because I believe when you do the Unity rendering, you have to render every single every single side of the polygon, which just sounds like an absolute goddamn nightmare.
Yeah. I've released my first game last year, and that was also a pain in the ass to optimize because I tried making that game look good and at the expense of performance, which was a mistake.
Would you like to talk about that game?
Sure. It's also on my itch page. So this was my first game, which I would just tried making it to see if I could make a game. So it was basically a test. and it went well.
Holy shit, I'm looking at it. This actually looks fucking dope.
Yeah, so first impressions, like, the graphics are cool and stuff.
I imagine actually getting the optimization for the light rendering and the players would be an absolute bitch.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, like, this was my first game, and I didn't know anything about optimizing games.
What did you end up learning about optimization?
A lot. Like when I was making this, I didn't know about occlusion culling. I didn't know that you could hide objects like behind other objects and stuff like that, or render only what the camera is seeing. And I also didn't know that lights were super expensive, particularly shadows. So real-time lights, like if you can avoid them or put that as little as you can in your game. And yeah.
Have you ever heard of something called baked lighting?
I did, yeah. Like now I know about all that stuff.
Oh, but you didn't when you made it.
Yeah, no idea what baking was.
I remember I was watching a YouTube channel called Danny Dev, and he was going over how he had to learn baked lighting for his game, and him describing it. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool," but I never want to do that, just because it sounds like an absolute headache.
Yeah. I tried baking lights for Corpus Edax, but they came out really ugly on the textures. So all of the lights you see are real time, but they're far and few in between, basically. That's why there's also the elevator, like loading another set of real time lights.
That's fair.
Yeah.
What was your favorite level to design for Corpus Edax?
I really like designing the cafeteria. As ugly as it is, like I really liked it because creating the the haze, the pillars, the tables, and then that secret vent that no one knows about. It was really fun. And also because I put a lot of NPCs on the cafeteria because I wanted the players to have fun with the barrels. I purposely left a lot of barrels in there so that the players could throw them at the citizens.
Are you gonna have the citizens be more reactive going forward? Because I remember
Yeah.
I killed one and I was like, "You guys, no one's gonna give a shit." All right.
Yeah. I wish I could program the AI a bit better, but yeah, ran out of time. It's really complicated. But definitely, like, I want the world to be super reactive.
How to explain this? So you know how in Skyrim there's certain NPCs that you can't kill?
Yeah.
Are you gonna end up trying to do that? Because I guess one thing I would ask is if you have NPCs react, but they're NPCs you need to do quests, then how do you just stop the player from just killing every single NPC or having every single NPC get really pissed off and you just ruined the whole level?
Right. So there's 3 ways to go about it. So there's the Bethesda way, where you can't kill those essential NPCs, basically. There's the Dishonored way, where you can kill them, but a second later you get a game over, and you have to reload the latest save. And then there's the third way of turn-based RPGs like Wastelands or Fallouts, where the characters that you're trying to kill are so powerful that you'd never have a chance of killing them.
That's pretty much how I run D&D campaigns. If you're not supposed to fuck with that guy, he will instantly murder you if you do.
Yeah. Basically like in Divinity as well. In Divinity Original Sin. So for Corpus Edax, I'm mostly thinking about doing it the Dishonored way. Dishonored. Like, you can kill them, but you'd have to reload the latest save. Because I was watching a stream for Dishonored, or another game like that, where the streamer killed an essential NPC, and the chat was like, "Oh, dude, I love when games let me do this." And then I thought, but what's the point? You just have to reload the save. And then I was talking to my brother, and he was like, "Yeah, but people enjoy having that little moment of expression, like killing the NPC, even if you have to reload. The fact that game developers let you do that is a plus, even if you have to reload the game."
Are you planning to let players know that they have to reload?
Yeah. Basically just a game over screen or something like, or this NPC died. The story is over. I don't know, or something like that.
I believe that actually happens in. Someone told me this, so I can't really corroborate. That in the older Elder Scrolls games, like Oblivion, if you kill an NPC, it's like the threads of fate have been severed. You can no longer like continue this
Oh,
playthrough.
yeah, that's in Morrowind. Yeah,
Which I always thought was just the most badass fucking thing I've ever heard. The
totally.
threads
Yeah,
of fate have been severed. It's so fucking badass.
they say like you can keep playing or reload or something like that. Yeah.
Are you worried that if you have a reactive AI, that it just might cause NPCs that you need to talk to instantly be hostile, or are you planning to make that a consequence of the player's actions?
I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about how essential NPCs would react, but I am looking at how Bethesda does it because I think it's a good starting point. Because anything you do, like in Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, they always have a comment. They always stare at you if you do something silly, like if you're sneaking around, they will look at you and comment on it. If you grab an object or steal something, they freak out. If you shoot at them, they freak out, but then calm down, which is probably a good design decision, because then you can like keep playing the game. But I'm still thinking about how those NPCs will react to stuff, and how will it affect your ability to continue the game.
Have there been any major design hurdles when it comes to designing your game? Big questions that either you still don't know the answer, or you were a challenge to design?
Yeah, mostly right now I'm having a lot of design issues with first-person combats and how you can see your character when you look down. Because I feel like 90% of my problems would go away if you couldn't see your body when you look down. But I really enjoy that. And being a melee-based game, like you have to see your legs and your hands, basically.
Well, what kind of problems come about by being able to see your body?
How to not nauseate the player with motion sickness when you're fighting, because you need, the camera is in the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to have the player character, the head needs to be still so that you don't like move around and all the players get motion sickness and all that stuff. So imagine having kicks, like complicated moves, but the player can't move the head. So you're basically just moving the legs to do all the kicks, all the roundhouse kicks and stuff like that. It looks unrealistic, but like design-wise, it makes sense.
Something that really bothered me, I really enjoyed the game Dying Light. Have you played it by any chance?
Played what, sorry?
The game Dying Light.
I did, yeah.
Whenever I swing a melee weapon, the camera jerks, like my whole, like, because obviously my back and everything's arcing with the hammer, which makes sense that my character would lean, but it arcs in such a weird way that it makes me, like, just feel weird in a way that I don't get when I play games like Mordhau, Chivalry, Mountain Blade, just any medieval combat game I don't get. But when I play Dying Light, there's something about the way the camera arcs with the swing that just makes me, like, it doesn't make me feel sick, I just think, what the fuck is happening?
Exactly, yeah, that's one of my, like, that's the main problem I'm having right now. How to handle that, because they use the true first-person method where you can look down upon your character and see your model. And it was the same in Dead Islands, where every attack can be a bit jerky, like doesn't feel smooth.
Dead Island was so fucking... That game,
yeah.
Oh my god. I don't want to say it's bad, but like... Oh, I had a lot of fun with it, though.
Yeah, I personally enjoy it. Like, it doesn't bother me that much, but since I know it's going to be a problem for a lot of players, like, I gotta keep that in mind.
That's fair. Although that sounds definitely more like a technical aspect than a design aspect.
it's both. Like, um, for the combat moves, like, would you rather have, for example, if you want to do a backflip or something, would you rather have the camera stand still and have like a backflip with the camera standing still as if your whole body is moving except for your head, or would you like to have the camera roll around?
That, you know what, that actually is a great point, because I personally would answer I'd like to see the camera move, because it'd be fucking weird to do a backflip and just have the camera go hop up and then down.
Exactly, yeah, it would be super weird, but some people may not find that amusing. Have the camera like roll around like Mirror's Edge, you know?
Oh man, did you know there's you know the game Dark Souls, right?
Yeah.
Did you know there's a first-person mode? Like a first-person mod?
Oh man, yeah, I probably saw a video like some years ago.
That sounds disgusting.
Yeah.
Just have the camera. So I definitely understand what you mean when you say you have a concern with that kind of idea.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's something to keep in mind when designing a game like this.
Were there any features that you really wanted to add, but either because of you didn't know how to implement them or they didn't work that you ended up having to cut?
Right now, not so much because I'm really early in development. So I haven't had the time to implement a lot of features in.
So I think at this point in the podcast, I believe we'll transition over to just talking about games that we've been playing, and maybe if they've been influencing you with Corpus Edax. Is there anything you've recently played that influenced you that you just thought, damn, that's a really cool fucking idea?
Yeah, definitely. Lately I've been like studying and playing a lot of games. Mostly Dishonored and Condemned Criminal Origins.
I haven't even heard of
as
the
well.
one.
You never heard?
No, you're not Condemned.
Yeah, Condemned. It came out on the 360 and PS3, I think, or just 360 in 2006.
What's that game like?
It's a first-person horror game. I'd say like first-person horror game with melee combat and guns, and you're a detective that's like investigating a series of murders around town, and you have to fight off a lot of bad dudes.
That explains why I've never heard of it. That I am a huge scaredy cat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm guessing you like horror then.
I'm not a huge fan of horror games. I really like horror movies, but games not so much.
Any particular reason why?
I think like having just player agency really immerses me in the game, and I don't like to be scared when playing games. It's it's an uncomfortable feeling.
That's fair. I would say Cultic was the first real horror game that I actually tried to play. And
Really, Cultic?
Yeah, I just started screaming, and what a miserable feeling that was. It actually really scared me, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this feeling.
Oh, damn. Well, if you want to try Condemned, it's not that scary. That's why I keep playing it.
I was thinking if you were playing it, then it couldn't have been that scary.
Personally, I don't think so.
It looks very grindhousey almost. Like it's mostly just like gore for gore's sake.
It kind of is, yeah. It like the game deals with serial killers and all that stuff, so they have some grotesque imagery for sure.
I mean, I kind of like that stuff. I like it's funny. I can't handle like torture, but I can handle gore. Like I have a particular love for like medieval and particularly like the World Wars, and that shit gets fucked up. So
yeah, true.
I'm reading. It has nothing to do with fucking video games, but I'm reading this manga called Golden Kamuy, and it's set like a little bit before World War I, 1904. And God, some of the fight scenes get really fucked up, and I'm so there for it. What else have you been playing? Or is it just been that? Because I imagine it's hard to be a dev and a full-time job and play video games.
Yeah. I've been playing Wasteland 2 to see how they handle choices and the skills. And I've been really enjoying that too as well. But
what's been your favorite element of the game so far?
Of Wasteland 2?
Uh-huh.
It has nothing to do with Corpus Edax, but I really like the combats. The way you can handle like your squad members and stuff, and how each skill like can influence the squad members.
If I remember correctly, it is a CRPG but turn-based.
Yeah.
A
top-down view or isometric.
I watched SkillUp review it, and I watched him review Wasteland 3, and it looked really good.
Oh, I love that game. Yeah, I played Wasteland 3 first, so now I'm playing the second one.
Is it good being able to go back and play like an older game in the genre?
Playing what, sorry?
Has it... I don't know. Is it... Because, like, I know trying to go back to, like, older games in a franchise sometimes is problematic because it's just old and clunky. Does that game have that problem at all?
No, the game is not that old. Like, Wasteland 2, I think, came out in... oh shit, I don't know. 2015?
Yeah, you're right. That's not that old.
Yeah, like, it still holds up.
I recently busted out my PS2 a couple months back, and that was eye-opening to realize a lot of the games you love just really weren't that great.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Like, damn, dude, even, like, yesterday, I think, or last week, I tried San Andreas Definitive Edition because it came out on Game Pass. And boy, dude, that game did not age well.
Oh my god, I've been reading up on why that game is such a disaster. They got an outside studio that does phone ports, and they rebuilt the game off a phone port of GTA.
They did, yeah. And it's a company called Grove Street Games. What a name.
But my favorite was, have you noticed that some of the text in the game's a little off?
Yeah, I've been reading articles about it. It's because of the AI upscaling, right?
I didn't know that was a thing. They got, like, AI to, like, basically, like, grab elements of the game and then, upscale it. But the technology...
Yeah.
First off, just AI upscaling. What a just cool idea. But, man,
we're
did
living
it
in the
not
future,
work. But my favorite was there is a shop, it was called, like, the Krusty Nut or whatever, and it was a donut shop. So you had, like, this really blocky donut, because it was an old game, and then a lug nut. And they smoothed completely the donut and the lug nut.
Yep.
And it was just so bizarre, it just was a fucking tire at that point.
They probably, like, passed every model into Blender or something and just subdivided it to have more polygons. And that just made it lose the joke.
Would you say the game's currently worth it? Because I heard the Metacritic scores are like 0.5.
God, absolutely not, dude. Like, if you have the original version, just play that, really.
Did you know they took down the original versions?
Yeah, I did. That sucks, man. Because that is not the definitive edition. That's like the half-assed edition.
It's okay, because do you know what they left in the game?
What?
They left some of the original files for the hot coffee mod.
Oh, right. That scandal back in the day.
That's so... The fact that game got an A rating when it released is just fucking, like, such a fun thing to hear about, and then it's coming back.
Yeah. Can't believe they left it. Well, if they left it, then they left it in the mobile ports.
Well, it gets even worse because they also... A lot of the music got removed because of copyright, but they left in the original music in the source file, so people were modding it in, which meant it technically was violating, like, copyright laws, which is also really fucking bad.
Oh man, I didn't know about that. That
Yeah.
sucks for them.
Yeah, but fuck it. Rockstar is not a great. Fuck them. I'm still slightly salty about how they treated their employees when it came to making LA Noire.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like, because I'm in my final year of college, so I haven't had a lot of time to play a lot of games, and I don't think anyone's going to want to hear me go, oh yeah, I'm really doing well in RuneScape right now. But there's, like, some cool stuff about it that I do like, because it has a lot of... Are you a big MMO guy?
No, not at all.
I don't like MMOs a lot either, but mostly because they'll just give you an empty field with a bunch of enemies and, like, go fight it. But in RuneScape, you got 36 different skills that all interact with each other, and so the areas are designed where it's like, okay, you can interact with all these different skilling ways, so it actually feels like a breathing, living in world where if I go to a city, there's all kinds of things I need to do to level up, so the city actually has utility versus, let me get out of here so I can fight the monster in the field next to it.
Yeah.
So I actually really like that idea.
Yeah. I played Neverwinter Nights. I don't know if you know that MMO.
Yeah, I think No, it wasn't Neverwinter Nights. I played a different D&D game, but I do know of Neverwinter. Was it good?
Yeah, it was alright. Like, I don't know, man. Playing MMOs, I think you need a lot of time because it's a lot of grinding.
Yeah.
It just feels like a waste of time sometimes.
Is that like the biggest reason you can't get into them?
Yeah, I don't. It's just why should I play like an MMO and like fight dudes or grind for resources for 2 hours when I could be, for example, making my own game? You know.
That is a completely fair response.
Yeah.
Are there any genres that you also like try to stay away from?
I don't particularly like card-based games. I'm not really sure why, to be honest. Like, I can see the appeal, but I don't really have time to learn about the cards and building the perfect deck and all that stuff.
I think I've settled on the reason I don't like them is because I'm dumb, and I've just come to accept that.
You know, that's true. I do agree that that's probably a reason for me too.
My roommate, who's also a really close friend of mine, loves them, and he'll be like talking about his builds, and I'm like, all right, now this is hurting my brain because he'll just come up with shit that I wouldn't even think of, man. It's just so fucking creative.
True. I tried playing Hearthstone like years ago, but I fell off of it because like it gets to a point where it's impossible to fight against other players and even bots in higher difficulties because I'm not that smart.
When you play games like New Vegas and you do different builds, do you do different builds primarily because you like messing around with the different stats, or is it more of like role play opportunities you can get from the stats?
I don't know. I think it's just I like to mess around, yeah, and see how the game responds. But in the case of Fallout New Vegas or even Fallout 3, they kind of point you in one direction, like they kind of tell you that you have to have speech, and if you don't have lockpick, for example, you're missing out on a lot of content.
That's fair, yeah. Which I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah. It's an RPG, sure, but they do, like, tell you indirectly to have this build. Unless you want to miss out on content.
I honestly mostly just do builds for roleplay purposes. Like, I've joined every faction except Caesar's Legion. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I did join them only so I could kill Caesar while working on him, giving him Caesar, which was the best thing I've ever done. But I don't know. Do you think when you design Corpus Edax you're gonna think about that? The idea that the different skills you're gonna have might influence like roleplay, or is roleplay maybe not gonna be such a big feature going forward?
It's gonna be 50-50. Mostly, you know how in Deus Ex, you can hack and hack locked doors and open stuff and stuff like that, and you get XP.
Yeah.
Like, I want to avoid that because rewarding hacking or rewarding speech checks is telling the player that they should be this build. So I'm going to try and avoid rewarding players by doing speech checks or rewarding players by hacking doors, because that allows the player to play how they want. They're not going to be thinking about the missed XP. And oh man, if I had like points in hacking or points in speech, I could have get like that little XP boost. I think that hurts a bit the immersive sim genre.
I haven't had that experience when I played immersive sims. I did get that when I died repeatedly in Dark Souls, though. I get really mad when I think about, like, I should be level 30, but I'm level 28, and just the nagging feeling that I'm, like, slightly behind. Even though I'm already over-leveled, but just knowing that I'm behind has made me, like, restart players, just because I lost 2 levels before.
Yeah. Yeah, Dark Souls has that problem. And Demons as well. I don't know if you play Demon Souls.
I haven't, I'm not... I haven't, sadly.
Yeah. Though those games like to de-level you, like take away levels.
Oh yeah, the final boss does that shit!
Yeah.
I saw that, like, video game donkey, he was playing it, and then he was just like, okay, and he just buffed himself to level 99. I don't know how I feel. Do you like when games do that, when they de-level you? Because it's a fun consequence, but man, that is annoying.
Nah, I think it's just plain annoying. I love Demon Souls, but damn.
That's fair.
Cool it.
How did you feel about, like, the soul memory when it comes to a Dark Souls 2?
You know, I played that game when it came out in 2014, I think, and I wasn't that bothered by it. Just a little bit because of co-oping stuff, but I don't think it was a good choice.
I'm telling you, I think that single-handedly, like, I'm not gonna say it ruined my experience, because I played through the whole game and beat it. If it ruined my experience, I would have just stopped playing it. But
Yeah.
But I was legitimately fucking, like, disappointed, because when my friends weren't around, I would just go and, like, help people fight a boss over and over again, and just keep the souls on me. But I can't do that because of soul memory, so it discourages me from actually co-opting, unless I want to
Yeah, it completely destroys it.
Yeah, and or it punishes you for dying and not spending your souls, because your soul memory goes up, and then it affects, like, how people can fuck with you in PvP. So technically, you have that nagging feeling of always being behind in PvP because you died without spending your souls.
Yeah.
It really is like a mechanic that, like, de-incentivizes me from interacting with other players, which I think is...
Yeah. I'm not really sure what their, like, thought process was, to be honest. Were they trying to limit, like, unfairness in PvP?
What I believe they were trying to do was, you know how some players would just be like, I beat the game at level 1. They didn't like that people were essentially going to the end of the game, getting end game items, but still being level 1, and then going back to the starting area and PvPing and fucking around with people like that.
Right. So that's what I was thinking, yeah.
So soul level discouraged that, but the thing is, people still found ways around it and still fucked you over.
Yeah. Player's gonna play, you know. Life finds a way. You can't fight it.
Have you gotten any feedback from a player that, like, told you something and you're like, why did you do that? That you weren't supposed to do that. Have you gotten anything like that?
Not really. I don't think like Corpus Edax has enough systems for players to complain about. For now, at least.
Have you played the rest of the Fallout franchise before?
Yeah, I played them all. Even Brotherhood of Steel and Tactics. I don't know if you know about those.
I do. My friend told me. I don't know enough for me to really review or say anything about it, but I just heard it's not that great.
Yeah, they're not that good. I can see why Tactics would be good, but Brotherhood is still kind of sucks.
Does that mean you also played 76?
I did.
How did you feel about that?
I hated it. Like, me and my brother, we tried playing Fallout 76 3 times because the game went
no.
on the game went on the free weekends, like 3 times in like a span of 6 months or something. So each time it went free, we tried it. But the game is so boring. I don't get it. For me at least. I can see why people could enjoy it, and playing Fallout in co-op theoretically is an amazing idea, but when you play Fallout 76 it just really sucks. I don't know.
I think my favorite memory of 76 was I was watching E3 with a bunch of my friends, and it had already released, but I was complaining. I was like, they went for a Rust clone when Rust had already faded. If anything, they should do a Battle Royale. And then it cut in to one of the devs going, fuck yeah, we put a Battle Royale in 76. And I was just like, I don't want this power. Get rid of it. I didn't want this.
You made this happen.
So, I can now apologize for adding Battle Royale to Fallout 76.
Did you like 76? Did you play
it?
Oh, okay.
I just thought it looked really bad.
Yeah.
They said no NPCs, and I was like, but I played for the lore and like the NPCs.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no NPCs in this game? The shooting's not that good.
No, even like with the lag, each bullet hit has like input lag or something.
I'm not good at FPSs, right? And so I played Vegas exclusively in VATS.
Yeah.
And then Fallout 4 came, and I was really bad, couldn't get through. I have problems with Fallout 4, but that's another story. But then they gave 76, and they just went combat, not exclusively, but there's not a lot of NPCs, so that's a strong focus. And I just was like, that's not for me.
Mm-hmm. True. All the Fallouts I played, like, the characters are super strong, and then you have Fallout 76 with no characters.
Yeah, it was They're in there now, apparently, and I heard that the writing's good, there's just grindy elements to get to the good bits.
Yeah. They're in there now, yeah, but I don't think it's enough. Like, personally, I never really liked survival games.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I'd recommend at least trying something like Breath of the Wild, because while it's a survival game, it's also, maybe not immersive sim, but it's got a lot of systemic design decisions behind it that make that game just one of the most fun things I've ever done as an experience in gaming.
Does, yeah. I tried playing it, I'm not gonna lie, like, I tried playing it, I think I played for like 5 hours. I was climbing a mountain, and it took me a really long time to get to the top, and then it started raining, and then Link slipped, and fell to the ground, and died, and I had to reload my save, and it's just like, and that really pissed me off, I don't know, and I stopped playing the game.
That's fair. But there are moments where I would be jumped by enemies on horses. So I used a flame weapon and lit the ground around me on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Then, because the fire caught the grass on fire, because I was in a grassy lowland, it generated wind. I lifted in the air from the wind with my glider, hopped on a horse, and rode away.
That's cool. Those elements are like super awesome.
But I also have been at moments where I wanted to throw the Switch across the room because it rained and Link wouldn't climb the fucking mountain where the quest was supposed to have me go.
Yeah.
If there's armor set that negates that, my god, please tell me where the fuck it is.
There is?
No, I'm saying if there is, I hope to God
if there is, yeah.
tells me. Because that pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I can imagine, dude, yeah.
Like, wearing metal armor attracts lightning, and I didn't learn that, so when it started raining, I'd be like, I'm going across the map, I can't be here.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would always just get struck by lightning.
It's a cool feature to have, but then it gets annoying.
Yeah, but once you learn, like, once my friend told me that anything metal attracts the lightning, Then it
Yeah.
became like I have to switch to my like suboptimal weapons, and it's stuff like that,
Mhm.
like having a weather system that changes what weapons you use, but your weapons are given to you based on what you've explored, that create interesting moments that like I can't think of like any scripted game could ever give me.
Definitely, yeah. Those moments are cool, yeah.
I also just love Minecraft. It's cute, and I get to like build shit. I love it. It's my girlfriend doesn't play a lot of games, so survival games are just like a way that like is really easy for us to do. Like the perfect non-gamer game to get people into is like Stardew Valley.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
I'm guessing it's the grinding elements that you don't like.
I don't know, maybe it's like do you remember that craze from Facebook like 6 years ago about farming? Oh man, I don't remember the name.
Farmville? I don't use
Yeah,
Facebook.
yeah.
I haven't touched it. I hate that company with a burning passion.
No, me too, yeah. I deactivated my account last week. But I think that has to do with that. Like Stardew Valley and Farmville, like they both share a lot of design similarities. And I think it's just a comfy setting, like
Yeah.
farming your stuff.
Well, now, did you see the game that the developer's making next?
I don't think so.
You're playing as a chocolatier, like someone who makes chocolate in a haunted mansion.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, that's such a like change from farming, because it's still like the same base where you do like a lot of like NPC interactions and you have like the making of stuff, but just a chocolatier in a haunted like mansion. I just don't even know where to even begin with that concept, and it sounds so fucking fun.
Do you know the name?
No, I don't. But if you just look up "Concerned Ape new game," it'll come up. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's not. It's like he released, I think, like pictures of it. I think it's like not even got a trailer yet.
Okay. I gotta follow him on Twitter or something. Keep up with him. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept, and I found there's some other games I'm looking forward to, like Ooblets. I'm not sure if you've heard of it.
Ooblets, yeah, that's really familiar.
Yeah, it's like a farming game, but then you use the things you farm to do dance battles that are also a card Pokemon style like combat.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the weirdest mix of like systems I've ever heard, and I'm so down for it when it releases not on Epic Games.
Mm-hmm. Looks really cute.
Aside from immersive sims, what game genres do you love?
I really like. I know it's going to sound like generic, but I really like first-person shooters. But I also like skate games, like Tony Hawk, Skate 1, 2, 3.
Do you skate in real life?
Yeah, a bit.
Nice. I longboard.
Oh, dude, I love longboarding, yeah. Like, those games are amazing, and some racing games. I also like Burnout, like, all Burnouts are amazing.
Fuck yes!
I just love them. And recently I've been really liking The Crew. I don't know if you like it.
I played the Crew one. Ubisoft, stop adding loot boxes in your games. It's a racing game. What the fuck is this weird RPG loot box leveling system? It's like I
know, man. Yeah.
The game's wonderful. The cars are amazing. The idea of an open world card game car game that you explore a map, fucking amazing. But then they were like, "Well, add loot boxes."
Yeah. It's just Ubisoft, dude. Like, you gotta tolerate it,
But do I have
The Crew
to?
2 at least is amazing.
Is it actually worth it? Because I've seen it go on sale, and I've been... You know what pisses me off about Ubisoft titles?
What?
You'll buy the game, and then you'll get bombarded by, like, 5 different DLCs you need to be able to get the complete experience of the game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, the Crew 1 did that, where they just shove in your face all the events, but you can't do any of them unless you have the DLC. So, like, the minute you boot in the game, you're like, oh, by the way, you only own half of it.
Yeah.
Does the Crew 2 do that?
No, like it does a bit, but you can totally like ignore it. I think I put around like 100 hours on the PS4 of the Crew 2,
Damn.
and I never really felt like buying anything more, you know?
Okay, I'll have to give the Crew 2 an honest look again.
Yeah, I think it's just an amazing game.
I played Steep. I don't know if you saw that one by Ubisoft.
Deep, yeah, my brother really enjoyed that. I didn't as much. Mostly because I just wanted another SSX, which Steep isn't, but my brother thinks it is. I don't know.
For me, I just wanted something that was a snowboarding game, because the only one and the last one I had played was Wii Ski on the Wii.
Oh, did you ever play SSX?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
It's amazing. You have a lot of SSX to try if you have a PS2.
My thing is, hell yeah, I got a PS2. I love,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say exploring, but I love having just a whole mountain range that I can do anything on. And I love speed and jumps. Tricks or whatever, but I love speed and jumps. Is it more trick focused or is it speed?
I think it's speeds. I'm the opposite. I really like doing the like crazy dumb tricks. But I think Steep is like your thing.
I played a Downhill. It's on the Switch and some other platforms. It's a rogue. The best way I'm going to describe it is a roguelike BMX game.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Oh, it's so fun. There are tricks, but I feel like the focus is more like on just not speed, but you can kind of do whatever you want in the game because you don't even have to follow the main trail. You just have to get to the end. So you could drive like a snail and get there, but that's not fun. And I really like when games do that, where they're like, here's an objective, you can accomplish it any way you want, as difficult or as not as possible.
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah. Did you try the new game? How's it called? Free Riders? No. Riders Republic.
I watched a review of it by Skillup. I love that guy so much. I have a weird passionate thing I really love is video game reviews and video game essays. But I don't know. I'm gonna see what it looks like going forward because Ubisoft tends to add like a bunch of DLC bloat into their games, so I want to see what happens. Yeah. But I'm excited for it. It looks really fun, especially the 100-person races. My God, that looks so stupid. But in like the best possible way, you know. Like there's something that's good about jank sometimes, you know.
Yeah. I tried I think it was the beta.
Oh, the beta?
The beta. And it was alright. The bicycling part was amazing. The 100 people races were super janky.
Yeah.
I don't think the 100 people races like went as the devs expected. It's kind of all over the place because you have 100 people pushing you off the track, and it gets really annoying really fast.
That's pretty much what Skillup said, that like it's not something to be taken seriously, but more it's just something like to have fun with while you play. Like it's definitely not a focus, but I don't know. There's a level of jank that's like acceptable depending on the game, and it's the reason.
Yes, no doubt.
It's definitely one of the biggest reasons I was able to like play New Vegas and put up with its jank. And then I played something like Fallout 4, and I was like, this is not it, Chief. This is not it.
Yeah. I do like my janky games. I do like playing like janky RPGs, like Eurojank.
I do, that genre. I love the name Eurojank. Do you think Corpus Edax has any sort of jank in it that's a little charming?
It definitely has jank. No doubt, yeah. Especially with the characters.
What's some gameplay jank in your game that you really like that you're not gonna fix?
Oh man, I think a really janky thing to do is grabbing a barrel or a chair and aggroing a lot of guards and then just swinging really fast with like the chair or the barrel in front of you.
And
that will kill every guard. If you grab a helmet, by the way, when they drop them, Like the helmets are indestructible, so you can just like grab that and swing it, and everything in front of you will die.
That's what convinced me to download the game. Is you have like that GIF where he like punches a guard, his helmet comes off, he kicks the guard helmet into the window, and the window breaks and kills everyone. I was like, I tried doing it so many times, and the window never took damage. The window never took damage from the helmet.
So that's a little trick that I did, because I punched the window before I aggroed the guard. So the window was already a little bit weak.
That's what I did. I would punch the window until it was weak, then punch the guard, and then just punch the window. And the window breaking and getting sucked out is so janky, but in the most lovable. I love ragdoll physics. It's also I also love that shit, and I just I don't know. I really enjoy. It's gonna sound so demented, but I love killing people not in a normal way. Like if I can poison someone, if I can light them on fire, environmental kills are so satisfying.
Yeah, no doubt. The Hitmans are perfect for that. I love the games.
There's one level where you kill a guy by pushing him into his daughter who's driving, and she crashes the car and dies as well.
That's on Hitman 2, isn't it?
Like, I don't know, and it's so demented. It's so fucked up that you can do that.
Yeah. Those dudes are super creative, dude. I love IO Interactive, the developers.
What's your favorite Hitman kill?
Oh my god, my favorite Hitman kill. That's such a loaded question. I've played all of them except for the most recent ones. I haven't been able to get into them. But the 4 previous ones, one of my favorite kills is throwing a coin into a glass ceiling and killing a target in Blood Money.
Wait, you shattered a glass ceiling killing someone by using a coin?
Yeah, so in Blood Money you have a coin which you can throw like as a distraction, but if you throw it at a glass ceiling, like it breaks and the glass will kill whoever's underneath it. It's just a dumb kill.
That's just stupid.
Yeah. It's so dumb that I love it.
When you said coin, you know what I just thought of? And I want the game just because this is an actual weapon. I think it's called Overkill. You flip a coin, and if you it's like a boomer shooter type game. You flip a coin, and if you pull out your pistol and shoot the coin fast enough, the bullet pings off the coin and hits enemies.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's such a stupid idea, and I'm like, give me that. I love games that just do dumb stuff like that, but the idea of just being able to break a glass ceiling with a coin just doesn't... Oh my god. Have you played Rainbow Six Siege?
Oh yeah, I love Rainbow Six Siege. I have 300 hours
on
the PS4. Yeah.
My friend accidentally killed someone because he was on low health, and he's like, flashbang, and hit our teammate, and we just watched our teammate fall off the window and die.
Oh my god, yeah. I love it when grenades like do damage.
But it does physical damage.
Yeah.
It's such an unnecessary detail.
Super unnecessary, but but then you have those moments, right? That's what they go for.
Yep, the best, the memory. I feel my friend would not let me down if we talk about Rainbow Six Siege, and I don't mention this. We were doing hostage, and this guy took a fuse main, and I'm sitting there like, okay, that's a weird pick. So I type in chat like, any reason you picked a fuse main? I just want to see what his response is. You know what he typed to me? He just went, because I'm a man.
Perfect response.
I was just like, you go, dude. You got a bunch of kills with fuse, and I was like, respect. But
yeah.
That's another game where I love, but I hate Ubisoft because like all the cosmetics are purchasable, and if you bought like the game cheap, like you got to have all the characters, but now I have to buy all the characters separately because I got in early. It's so annoying, and it's so grindy to unlock anything legit. And I think cosmetic unlocks are the most satisfying thing in games. And the fact that it's behind a paywall angers me.
You can buy them like with in-game credits or whatever.
Oh yeah, but I'm trash at that game, man. I don't have the money to buy anything good.
Yeah, you said you weren't a fan of first-person shooters.
Oh, I love them. I'm just trash.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Although I do, when it comes to Destiny 2 PvP, I fucking kick ass at that shit.
Damn, I think I suck at Destiny 2 PvP.
What helped, you just gotta find a weapon you like. For me, it was the bow. Everyone tells me bows aren't that good, but bows are really useful. I fucking love them.
Yeah, I like using them in PvE, but in PvP it's kind of hard.
I like it because the radar doesn't actually show, like, if you can look down the sight of a bow and still have the radar.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, my bad. It's not that you can look down the scope. It's that you can, like, prime the arrow and have it ready and still have the radar.
Oh, right, without aiming down sights.
Exactly. But the thing is, the bow is so fucking accurate that you're going to hit most of your targets.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's true, man.
That is, like, the best part of the bow, which means you can have a corridor covered and be able to tell your teammates when someone's about to try to bomb rush you while they cover a different corridor. It's just lovely.
Yeah, that's a nice strategy.
Well, it's been almost 2 hours. If there's a different game you'd like to shout out before we have to go that you've been playing, or not, I don't know how busy your schedule is.
I think more people should play Hunt Showdown.
I saw you playing that, and I was like, damn, Skillup reviewed it. I'm just going to mention him consistently. And I was like, that game looked so fucking cool, because that's also, like, got a lot of systemic design elements in it, right?
It does, yeah. Like, it's hard to make advantage of them. Since it's a PvP environment, you're kind of stressed. Especially that game. Like, you have one life. But it does have a lot of systemic stuff in the game. And the game is just really cool. I think more people should play it.
Is the community still alive?
Yeah. The game is consistently, how you say it, like, the servers are filled, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the servers aren't empty. You can easily find a match.
That was always, like, a super sad thing to hear about, like, when a game dies. Like, my favorite FPS was Dirty Bomb, and they didn't shut down the servers, but they shut down development, and they might as well have killed the game from there, and it's just... it makes me cry when I think about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think that's plenty of time, so, Lewis, any final thoughts before we have to go?
No, I think I've said everything I wanted to. Thank you.
Well, feel free to follow him. He goes by Actually, do you want to pronounce your name so I don't butcher it?
Yeah, but you can follow me on on Twitter by typing Epic McDudes.
Epic McDudes. I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
If you want to see Corpus Edax, I will put a link in the description below. I'll also be providing a link to his itch page and what you said, your Twitter?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Thanks for watching episode 2 of the Papers Prototypes podcast. I'll see you all next time.